Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Gill, and this woman is incredible. I can't wait for her to share her story and tell you all about how she helps other people. So, Jill, let's get right into it. Can you tell the audience a little story about yourself that kind of got you to where you're at now?
Sure. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me onto your podcast, Nick. It's brilliant to be here. So thank you. So I have a learning and development business. We celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, and we specialise in an approach called forum theatre. So I have a team of professional actors, and we create short scenarios, short dramas about workplace issues. And then we go into our client organisations and we play out those scenarios, and our audience, who are made up of managers typically within the organisation, they redirect the scene. So they can interview the characters to find out more about what's going on, and then they can redirect the scene. So we show the problem and they direct it to a solution. And in that, we can cover, those really difficult conversations about performance management or sickness absence, inappropriate behaviour, all of the sorts of things that managers might find a little bit tricky and need some practice, but we do it in a very dynamic, fun way with a group. But we have a no role play rule for the delegates. So our actors take all the role play, but they work with the group in terms of creating the solution. So we co-create the better outcome for our characters.
I think this is so cool because, you're helping teams work together in the workplace, basically teamwork. I think it's cool, your approach to it. You literally go into the business, you figure out what the challenges are, and then you role play and do like a little play or movie to show people, like, I'm sure you do it the wrong way first and then the right way. Is that how you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun, and it just really lands those important messages. And we've covered everything from sort of customer service skills all the way through to some really challenging issues around bullying and harassment, even domestic violence, where we've been invited into a sort of housing complex and working with their residents about those behaviours. Yeah, it's an amazing way to work, and we love it.
That's awesome. And, it's one thing to go into a meeting like we've all been, and somebody's just talking to you, telling you what you shouldn't do, telling you what you should do to resolve issues. But what you do is a whole nother level. We all learn better when we see solutions. And that's what I love about your company, is you help people really get it through to, this is not okay, and this is. So the next time that this happens, this is how you should approach it and handle it.
Yeah, and it's the group are coming up with those solutions, and they can try several different approaches within the group to see what's really going to land. And of course, the actors need really advanced improvisation skills, because they need to stay in character and not just accept the redirection and just do whatever they're told, because that would mean that they would become quite a different character or personality. So they have to stay within the character we've created, and that means sometimes they push back a little bit, and they might say, oh, hang on a minute, do you realize how much work I've got to do? I can't just be having meetings all the time or spending time with this person. I've got my own to-do list, blah, blah, blah. So it's really reflecting the work challenges. So we can put some of the complexity in there. And I think what makes a difference to the learning is that people have to work hard to get the outcome. It's not just really simple, yeah, that's all sorted. It reflects what it's really like in the workplace, which is we have to get in there and do the work to bring about the positive change.
Now, when you guys are doing the role play scenario, what's the average length of that?
The scene that we prepare is quite short,
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but then it's the audience participation which takes the time. So interviewing the characters, the redirection. So typically each scenario will take an hour in terms of delivery. Then we'll break out and have some discussion groups so that we can really hone in on the sort of key learning that people have gained from it. And then in a face-to-face event, then we'll run a second scenario. When we're delivering online, we'll have a 90-minute session and we'll just have one scenario in that time. So that gives us time to play out the scenario and also have some really good discussions afterwards.
Okay. So you do some online.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, since COVID, we've
Yep.
delivered a lot of online workshops, as you can imagine. But what's been so interesting is that this year we're being invited more and more to go back on site and deliver face to face. And that's great too.
Yeah, that's really good. And what is your business name and where are you located?
Sure. So the business is called Resound Training and Development, and we are based in London, but we work across the UK and globally via Teams and Zoom platforms.
Awesome. That's really cool. It's really good that you are online because these days I feel like more and more of us are going online for everything. So
Yeah, and it makes sense in terms of cost efficiency, time
yeah.
efficiency, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But as I say, we do get invited on site, and that's great, especially for larger conferences. You know, we do workshops, those sorts of events too. But of course, a lot of the work is done online, as you say.
Yep. Now, was there events that happened in your life that kind of led you to opening this?
Yeah, so many years ago, when I was 17, and still at school, I was studying for my A levels. They're the advanced levels we take in the UK. And with my English literature group, I went to the local theatre and we saw a production of Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. And it had a profound effect on me. And the reason for that is that at that time in my life, my dad was receiving care within a mental health hospital. He'd had a breakdown, and there was, it certainly in our community at the time, quite a stigma about that, and I really felt that as a teenager. And then seeing this play, it was incredible. It just dawned on me that actually we weren't alone. There must be other families going through this. And although I'd sort of known that intellectually before, hadn't sort of really felt it. And yet somehow seeing this play, I thought, well, if a play's been written and you know on stage all these years, addressing these issues, then there's obviously lots more people experiencing that. And that evening, I suppose I experienced the power of theatre to bring about some sort of change. And I knew that night that I would somehow find a way to use theatre, to work in theatre, to bring about some sort of good, some sort of social good. And it took me a long time to get there, but I found a way eventually through HR, learning and development. And then I had I went to a drama school as a mature student doing a sort of part-time course. And then I discovered forum theatre and I thought, oh, this is it. And then I worked towards finding a way to launch it as a business. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So hold on to those dreams for anyone out there that's got an idea or something that really resonated with them as a young person. You know, you can find a way. Just keep holding on to that dream and that vision. You can definitely find a way through to doing it.
Just recently did a podcast. My guest name was Andrea Fung. If anybody wants to go watch it, but we talked a lot about following our dreams, figuring out our purpose in life, and sticking to it. Don't give up. Just keep trying and trying and trying, because I believe a lot of us, we're all afraid to fail. Failure holds us back because we're so scared. And I tell people, like, you can't fail if you just don't give up. You can have a setback, then you learn from it, move on, and do better the next time.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just that the time is not yet. It will come back, and if it's meant to be, I do believe it will come back in some other shape or form, and you'll recognise it, and then you'll think, oh no, this is the time. This is the time when we can really move forward on this. So yeah.
Exactly. So when you're working with companies, I like to talk about companies because I understand that more. But what are like the top 2 challenges that you help the company work through?
So I think conflict, having strategies for managing conflict in teams is a really big one. Performance management is huge because every manager needs to be able to manage performance in a way that really works towards building a high performance team. And still have, that level of motivation and engagement. And then the third one, just to add another one, Nick, is that here in the UK, we had a change in law about sexual harassment last year, and that meant that we got invited to do a lot of workshops around that issue because businesses and organisations needed to ensure they were compliant with that law change, which put a real emphasis on employers preventing those inappropriate behaviours. So sometimes that works for us in terms of being invited to do work. But the main topics are conflict and performance management.
Awesome. Thank you. And you've been doing this a while. Do you have a few tips that you could share with leaders, management level leaders that do have a team, just on how they can work the best with their team?
Sure. So we created a framework for conversations, for managers to use in conversations, and we've had some great results with that. And we call it ECA, and it simply stands for Empathy, Care, Action. And it's a reminder to managers to ask for, to invite that other person's perspective. So to invite their team members' point of view. And that's so important. It's so important to listen to what they've got to say without judgment, because that builds the rapport and trust, and that leads to greater engagement and motivation. And having understood your team members' perspective on something or point of view, then of course that opens up the conversation where you provide your point of view and your expectations, but it's also an opportunity to let them know that you care about the outcomes, the team's performance, but also care about that individual as well as a team member. And then of course identifying the actions that they need to take forward. So it's a really simple framework, but it works. And it works because it starts with empathy. And if that other person feels valued and what they've got to say and their experience is valued, that makes such a big difference. So I'll give you an example, Nick. So imagine as a manager, you've had a complaint come in about somebody. It's very tempting to sort of seize that information and go in hard on the conversation with your team member. But actually, you've just got one perspective on that issue, and you need more than that. So rather than doing that, if you start the conversation with, I've had this call from X, telling me about an interaction or the conversation they had with you earlier. Before I discuss that, I really want to understand from your perspective what happened. So what was going on? What were you thinking and feeling at the time? And once you get that information, you've got a more rounded picture. Of course, you can go to others for their perspective as well. But it means that you just don't go in with that one-sided view, and you give that other person the opportunity to explain what happened from their perspective. And they may well say, look, I made a mistake and I'm really sorry. Or they might say, well, I was working on this information, or I was waiting for this, or they were incredibly rude and aggressive towards me and I found that really difficult and I got triggered. So there'll be something really useful in that moment, and that's why we recommend that approach.
I learned that exact approach many years ago, probably 8 years ago now. I used to work for my dad's company, and for the last like 4 or 5 years before we sold it, I was the supervisor. And I tell you what, at first I did it wrong. I didn't lead my team. I had that thought in my head, but I'm the boss. You gotta do what I say. That doesn't work. Don't do that. And
So tempting though, isn't it?
yeah,
We've all been
yeah.
there. It's so tempting.
So, but I did learn that, it's just because somebody comes and says something about another employee, that doesn't mean that that's the actual truth. And you gotta get both sides of the story. And that's what
Yeah.
I would do. I would get a complaint, I go talk to the other person, see what their thoughts are, and then resolve it, what they're in the wrong with the other person, that's what I did. What your strategy before that reminded me of how I would approach talking to when my team members, when they did something wrong or something didn't go as planned. For me, it worked out good if I would say something good first, like compliment them on something that they're doing well, or talk about something good that is in the business, and then go into the issue and resolve that, and then end it on another compliment about how they're doing. And that seemed to work really good.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's just so important that we all adopt those strategies in workplaces. It just would make life so much easier and prevent a lot of issues. And, and a lot of our work is around that prevention piece. If we can encourage managers to have really thoughtful conversations up front, then a lot of the issues are prevented. And that's the best outcome for everybody, isn't it?
Yep, it is really awesome. Well, before we wrap this up, I do have to ask you. So, my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means do not put a lid on your potential. It means go out there and grab life and, try, explore. Go for it. We've got one life. Do not restrict yourself. Do not put that lid on your potential. And I love that, Nick. That's really great.
Thank you. And with all of your expertise, what is one last message that you would like to leave the audience?
I think really value the quality of conversations that you have at work, with your friends, with your family. And I think just work towards having a better quality conversation each time. That changes everything,
It really
moves
does.
mountains.
It really does. And communication is the most important thing. And over the last few years, I've done a lot of research and read a lot of books on how to effectively communicate better. And I still have a lot of work to do. I know that, but I'm way better than where I was, 4
Well, it's
years
a
ago.
work in progress for all of us, isn't it?
It
You
is.
know?
It is. And how can people reach out to you and find you?
So our website, resoundtraining.co.uk. We also have a YouTube channel called Resound Training. And of course on LinkedIn. So Gill Brabner. Please come and connect. That'd be great.
All right, everyone, you heard it. You know what to do. If you have a team and you're struggling, you gotta contact Jill right now because she can help you out.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, Jill, thank you for being on the show. It was really great.
Thank you, Nate.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in it, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.